Good day. I would like to speak to you today regarding the birth of Jesus Christ. When was the date that Jesus was born? In order for you and me to be able to work this out from Scripture, we need to look at the feasts that God implemented, and we read about it in Leviticus 23. I have put them on the attached sketch, and if you look at the sketch, there are 3 feasts in the first month. The feast of the Passover, of the unleavened bread, and of the first fruits. In the 3rd month, there is the feast of the Pentecost, and in the 7th month, there is the feast of the trumpets, the feast of reconciliation, and the feast of tabernacles. Now, if you look at the Bible, in Luke 1, verse 5 and verse 13, it says, "There was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias, of the course of Abia, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth." And in verse 13, the angel comes to him and says, "Fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and you shall call his name John." That was the announcement of the birth of John the Baptist. Abia was the service group that was on service in temple to which Zachariah belonged. Now, when was the service group of Abia? If we read in 1 Chronicles 24 verse 10, it says the 8th was to the group of Abia. So if we look on the sketch again, the 8th week was the service week of Abia. But all the priests were on service during the feast of the Passover, the Pentecost, and the feast of the Tabernacles. So in the first month, there was the feast of the Passover, which moved Abia's service a week ahead. And then it was during the time of the Pentecost, which moved it another week on. So Abia was on service near the end of our month of May, beginning of June. And then that is when Elizabeth got pregnant. If we look further in Luke 1, verse 30 and verse 31, the angel comes to Mary and says, "Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God, and behold, you shall conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus." And in verse 36, the angel says, "And behold, thy cousin Elizabeth, she has also conceived a son in her old age, and this is the 6th month with her who was called barren." So Mary became pregnant when Elizabeth was already 6 months pregnant. If you look at the sketch, 6 months from conceiving round about the feast of the Pentecost in the Abia service brings us to round about the middle of December in our months, in our calendar. That is when Mary became pregnant. And as we all know, a pregnancy lasts 40 weeks. So we take it round to the first day of the Feast of the Tabernacles in the 7th month of God. What is confirmation from Scripture on this? The Feast of the Tabernacles is also called the Feast of the Sukkot, or the Sukkot festival. If you look at what does the mean Sukkot means, it is called the Feast of Joy. In Luke 2, verse 10 and 11, it says, "The angel said